The Chronarium of Lost Moments. Dr. Alistair Finch adjusted his spectacles, the flickering gaslit casting elongated shadows across the brass and copper machinery that dominated his basement workshop. Rain lashed against the leaded windows, a rhythmic counterpoint to the whirring and clicking of his latest invention, the Chronarium. It wasn't a time machine precisely. It wasn't designed for travel. Instead, it captured echoes, residual temporal impressions left behind by significant events, moments imprinted onto the very fabric of existence. He aimed to observe, not interact. To witness, not change. Almost ready, Beatrice, he murmured to his assistant, a young woman with an uncanny aptitude for engineering and an even more uncanny tolerance for his eccentricities. Beatrice, her face illuminated by the Chronarium's faint luminescence, made a final adjustment to his series of vacuum tubes. Temporal lock established, Dr. Resonance frequency calibrated to 1942 June 6. Normandy. Alistair's heart quickened. He'd chosen this date with a mixture of scientific curiosity and a quiet, persistent grief. His younger brother, Thomas, a promising linguist, had perished on that beach, one of the thousands swallowed by the relentless tide of war. He hadn't told Beatrice about his personal stake in the endeavor. Initiate sequence, he instructed, his voice a touch unsteady. The Chronarium hummed, its gears meshing with a grinding certainty. A swirling vortex of shimmering light materialized within the central chamber, and a cacophony of sounds, the roar of engines, the shouts of men, the crashing of waves, began to fill the workshop. It wasn't a clear picture, it was fractured, distorted, an imperfect reconstruction of a moment lost to time. He saw, through the swirling chaos, the grey sky, the choppy water of the landing craft churning towards the shore. Young men, barely more than boys, puddled within, their faces a mask of fear and grim determination. He saw the explosions, the machine-gun fire, the desperate scramble onto the sand. He focused, painstakingly filtering the noise, attempting to isolate a single face, a single moment. He found him. Thomas. It was a brief glimpse. Thomas, crouched low, clutching a bucket satchel filled with linguistic analysis notes. A German bullet flashed past, narrowly missing him. He looked up, his face briefly illuminated by the harsh sunlight, and for a moment their eyes met. Across time, across a gulf of grief, Alistair felt the connection, a flicker of recognition. Suddenly the image fractured violently. A jarring screech echoed through the workshop, and the Chronarium began to shake uncontrollably. "Doctor, something's wrong," Beatrice cried, wrestling with the control panel. "Temporal interference. We're picking up a secondary resonance. It's destabilizing the sequence." Alistair realized with a chilling certainty that something was interfering with his observation. Someone something asterisk was aware of the Chronarium and didn't want him to witness the past. The image shifted again, this time displaying not the battlefield, but a dark laboratory filled with unfamiliar technology. A figure in a long coat, his face obscured by shadows, observed the Chronarium's readings with cold, calculating eyes. "Interesting," the figure murmured, his voice electronically distorted. "A rudimentary temporal echo capture device. The scientist's curiosity is predictable." He pointed a device that resembled a ray gun towards the Chronarium's projection. A pulse of energy struck the vortex, and the battlefield image dissolved entirely, replaced by a swirling, chaotic mess of temporal noise. "We need to shut it down," Beatrice screamed, struggling to reach the emergency override. But it was too late. The temporal instability surged, throwing them both to the floor. Alistair felt a sharp pain in his head and blacked out. He awoke to a world subtly, disturbingly different. The rain had stopped. The gaslight burned with a harsher, brighter flame. He looked out the window. The familiar Victorian street was gone, replaced by sleek, towering structures of chrome and glass. Flying vehicles zipped silently through the sky. What happened?" he stammered, struggling to sit up. Beatrice, her face pale and drawn, helped him to his feet. "I don't know, Doctor. The Chronarium, it did something. We're not in 1947 anymore." A news broadcast crackled from a nearby speaker. The date displayed 2077. The headline, Chronotech Industries announces breakthrough in temporal observation technology. Alistair felt a cold dread grip his heart. Chronotech Industries. The name echoed the distorted voice he's heard. He rushed to the window. He saw a holographic billboard advertising Chronotech's new temporal viewer, a device allowing users to passively observe historical events. The technology was his research, stolen, refined, commercialized. But by whom? And for what purpose? He noticed a familiar emblem on the Chronotech building, a stylized representation of the Chronarium, subtly altered, corrupted. A figure stepped out of the Chronotech building, his face obscured by shadows. He raised the device that resembled a ray gun, and a distorted voice echoed through the city. "Alistair Finch, your curiosity has led you to a dangerous place. Perhaps next time you should consider the consequences of disturbing the past." Alistair realized with horrifying certainty that he hadn't just altered his own present. He stepped into a temporal war, waged across the echoes of history, and he was now a pawn, caught in a game he didn't understand. He had to find out who stole his research, why they were manipulating time, and how to undo the damage he had unwittingly unleashed. But he knew with a chilling certainty that his search would lead him down a path fraught with peril, a path that might lead him not to salvation, but to a fate worse than oblivion. Suddenly, a small device fell from Alistair's pocket. It was a single linguistic analysis node, precisely the kind Thomas had carried with him on D-Day. A message, left deliberately, perhaps a clue, perhaps a warning. Alistair picked it up, his hands trembling. The note was written in a language he recognized, but couldn't quite decipher language from a time even older than 1942.